Hello, this is Tarregor. This video is a Twitch stream that was not edited, so it's going to look like a Twitch stream. Welcome to my vision of World of Warcraft Classic Plus. The design direction of my vision of Classic Plus is substantially different from that of retail Circus Shadowlands and the private service to Vanilla Plus and Turtle WoW. This is partially because its aims to fix Vanilla WoW's many problems first, flesh out a polish that's already there second, and add new content third. This is part of a playlist of videos. Check this video description for a link to the playlist. The document displayed is my version of Classic Plus, and the document version number is version 1.5.16. All versions of the document are based on patch 1.12.2 of World of Warcraft. If you just want to know about the general design direction of my version of Classic Plus before the audio royals look into this, then watch the introductory video in this playlist or review the document yourself and look at the list of major features. The link to the document is on my channel's About page. That and I do not have a team of people, or however, working with me to make an actual private server out of this. This is all pure design thus far, and it ain't done yet. Now first off, as I had covered in other videos on this playlist, all items in the entire game that had an item level above 65 were squished down to an item level of 65, and all raids harder than Upper Blackrock Spire, excluding world bosses, were turned into 40-man raids, and I exclusively drop item level 65 epic items with a tiny chance to select items required for the legendary weapon quest chains, and of course, blue and green trash drops that are not exclusive to the raid, and epic ones. Also not exclusive to the raid. They're just only going to be one-tier raids, and it's going to be hard. And on a related note, world bosses only drop item level 63 epics now, and of course, trash stuff. That's not exclusive to the boss. Or subzone. Note also that the PvP ranking system is being replaced with a new one, and all rank-based PvP rewards are being nerfed to item level 65. Though there will be more rewards, so rank 14 players can wear PvP epics in every equipment slot except for their shirt, and not just in several equipment slots like in vanilla. That and epic battleground rewards are being nerfed to item level 63. Note also that world buffs are massively nerfed, and buff stacking in general is heavily revised as well, and that the debuff limit is being increased to 255. Those said limit will be shared with buffs. Because why the fuck not at that point? All that said, every class is going to have far less gear buffs to scale with than they had in vanilla, so keep all that in mind while you watch this video. Now then, before the actual changes, before the execution comes the agenda. Now I generally want to make bear druids be about as good at tanking as prot warriors are in raids. At tanking in competitive raiding and environments. Actually, I'm going to word that better. Make bear druids be a required main tank in 40-man raids alongside two prot warriors and a prot paladin or tank enhancement shaman, which won't take much for druids. How I'm going to accomplish this is first I make them, sum it up. First I make bear druids be uncrittable, but still be crushable. And then I actually make them have a little bit less armor. And then I make creative boss mechanics. Like, for example, Majordomo Executives will teleport a target away from him every 16 seconds and do some other things. So the only way that you're going to tank him is by charging him. Feral charging every 16 seconds, which warriors cannot match because the intercept is a 30-second cooldown, or is it 25? I forget, off the top of my head anyway. And then shadows are just spam polymorphs you, so you need a bear to tank him. There's some examples. Anyway, moving on. I want to make Mookins and Cat Druids be better in raids without having much of an impact upon PvP. I want to encourage Druids to level up outside of cat form. I want to flesh out the class some more via class quests. I want to make Druids stop wearing cloth. I want to make no talent be useless when somebody else in your group has it. I want to make raiding specs be better at PvP without being optimal PvP specs. Without the same specs. I want to make raiding specs be better at PvP without the same raiding specs being optimal PvP specs. I also want to do vice versa. I want to make no talent be useless in PvP. I want to make no essential raiding talent be useless in solo play. And I want to do things related to other sections of the document. Now the actual execution. Druids will no longer have cloth armor proficiency. Dodos will be able to wear cloaks due to some oaths that they took when becoming a druid, and they may not learn it from a druid trainer. This will prevent him from competing with priests, mages, and warlocks for gear in Dungeons and Raids. The Druid starter gear, Novice's pants and Novice's robe, will both be turned into leather items, so gray items will have level 1. As such, they'll have more armor than before, and more importantly, you'll be able to actually fucking wear them. I want the single target stretch variation of all 4 tanks to be roughly equal. As far as accomplishing this, Bear Form, Dire Bear Form, Maul, and Swipe will have their threat multipliers buffed or nerfed by an indeterminate amount, yet to be determined amount, and Primal Fury, which now has the bonus that the Feral Instinct used to have, may or may not also be buffed or nerfed by an indeterminate amount. At the end of their Bear Form quest chain, Tauren, but not Night Elf, Druids will gain an extra quest or few quests, get an extra quest or few quests to do, which will give them, at the end, a reward of a passive spell that increases the threat to degenerate in Bear and Dire Bear Form by an indeterminate amount. The thematics involved in that Tauren Druids can take advantage of their horns to be more threatening. The sole purpose of this is to compensate for Druids not benefiting from improved Rockbiter, from Rockbiter Totem or Wind Fury Totem, while Horde Prot Warriors do. Of course, it's also Frostbrand and Flame Tongue, but the best out of those for first generation is Rockbiter Totem, which I added to the game, which I discussed in the Shaman's video. Anyway, well, actually, fuck, I just mentioned it. But yeah, the Druids that have completed any shapeshifting quest chain can do a quest in Moonglade that permanently teaches them how to use items and profession cooldowns, such as grenades, while shapeshifted. And said quest involves first aid. Oh, by the way, I buffed every profession except engineering by a lot, and then I nerfed engineering. So yeah, professions that are not engineering are actually competitive with engineering now. It's not the end-all engineering is no longer the end-all be-all profession, but it is still definitely worth getting. Just not necessarily over other professions. It depends on what kind of stuff you want to do with your class. Anyway, this does not include secondary professions, by the way. Anyways, so yeah, you can use professions. You can use profession stuff and items all shapeshifted with this quest chain. And said quest involves first aid, and some yada, etc. Some accommodations for the first aid stuff. Without this, many professions would be useless for druids in raids and in PvP. I might have to nerf druids in PvP because of this, however. Druids will have to do a quest chain for cat form, another one for travel form, and another one for dire bear form, and the dire bear form quest chain will require having done the bear form quest chain, including the new part for Tauren if you're a Tauren. Druids that learn dire bear form will not have bear form removed from their spell book, just in case you want to fuck around with it. Growl, the druid spell, not the pet spell, will function as a head in patch 1.10.x, meaning that it shall work as Mocking Blow does, and Challenging Shout does. That is, it will not generate actual threat. By the way, changes were made to the Four Horsemen fight in particular, so that it is very possible to do with pre-1.11 time, and Growl. And 4 tanks, and not 6 of them. Moving on. Demoralizing Roar will reduce the opponent's melee damage by X attack power's worth of damage, or 5%, whichever is greater. Of course, X is the amount by which you're reduced in vanilla. However, Demoralizing Roar will have reduced chance to affect enemies above the level that you can learn to rank at, plus 11, such that each level higher increases 3% spell hit penalty. Rank in this case, of course, the rank of the spell. Anyway, this will ensure that Demoralizing Roar actually gets used in raids, as well as ensuring that druids actually buy ranks 2 through 5 of Demoralizing Roar. Hurricane, rather than passively reducing the attack speed of all in its area of effect by 25%, will slow the attack speed of those hit by 25% for 2 seconds after damaging them. The attack speed slow does not check nature resistance, less nature resistance double dip for it. This is to make Hurricane work with its sweeping area of effect target caps. By the way, I forgot to mention, every single area of effect spell in the entire game that is available to player characters, as well as area of effects items and buffs, but only the ones among all those that that either A, deal damage, or B, perform crowd control, or C, taunt. All these are being hard capped at 6 targets. just like Thunderclap, just like War Stomp, and just like Whirlwind. Hold on, I forgot if I included taunts or not. However, there are a few exceptions to this. Consecrate and Hunter Trap and Thunder Stomp, the Gorilla move, and something else are excluded from this. Okay, here's the relevant change. All movement, parrying, taunting, other rock controlling, and damaging spells and effects that are... Okay, yeah. Yeah, the exceptions are Consecrate, Holy Nova, I forgot that one, Hunter Traps, and Thunder Stomp. However, Holy Nova's heals will be target caps, but not its damage. You know what? I decided to remove Holy Nova from this exception. That's the list of changes from the previous version that I'll go in the next version of the document. Anyway, back to Druids. Okay, next up. Starfire will be renamed to Moonblast. In this WoW Classic Plus stuff, some of the stuff I'm doing is rethinking the lore to make it be more consistent and shit like that. Part of this is Elune does not have power over the stars in the sky. She just has power over herself. And mastery over life magic thanks to her relationship with the late Molorn and the late Cenarius. Next up. Remove Curse will be renamed to Decurse in order to avoid a naming conflict with the recently renamed mage spell, Remove Curse. Which if I recall correctly was, Remove Curse. Maul and Swipe's descriptions will denote that they generate a high amount of threat for the sake of clarity. I mean, they already did, now I'm just mentioning it in the tooltips. Upon finishing the Bear Form quest chain, Druids will be granted the Ursine attacks weapon skill, or is it Ursine attacks, which will be the weapon skill used by Bear and Dire Bear form, instead of not using the weapon skill at all. That is, instead of them being assumed by the game to have character level times 5 weapon skill. 50 skill is not much to get, but you'll need more if you put off leveling it. Upon finishing the Aquatic Form quest chain, Druids will be granted the Otary Attacks weapon skill, instead of them having character level times 5 weapon skill. They'll have to use the Otary Attack skill in Aquatic Form. Honestly, I don't like that they have to level this, but I really want to be consistent with the other changes made to the other forms, so yeah. Upon finishing the Cat Form quest chain, more importantly, Druids will be granted the Feline Attacks weapon skill, which will be the weapon skill used by Cat Form and Travel Form both, instead of them being assumed by the game to have character level times 5 weapon skill. This will serve to encourage players to level at something other than the formerly MLBL leveling spec of Feral Cat. Oh, by the way, I also made another change to weapon skill. No, that's ain't it. Weapon skill level ups will be changed to have a chance to occur. Which subsection is this? Attack changes. Section 11 or 11.0.16 attack changes. Here's a little bit of that section. Weapon skill level ups will be changed to have a chance to occur based on your base weapon speed, if applicable. If it would be a change anyway. The chance will be the same as before for 2.5 speed weapons. It will be 60% higher for 4.0 speed weapons, and it will be 60% lower for 1.0 speed weapons, and it will be accordingly lower or higher for other weapon speeds. 1.0 speed weapons only include Druid Cat Claws. However, to cut down on process, the defense skill will not be changed accordingly. Defense skill ups. However, if weapon skill and defense skill up chances are already calculated as such or in a similar manner, this change won't need to be made, of course. This change is part of encouraging Druids to not all level up from 20 to 60 in Cat Form, seeing as how Cat Form will have its own weapon skill. Cat Form. Oh fuck, general Druid changes. Feline Grace will additionally work in Travel Form because it makes sense. They're both cats. Hold on. Okay, moving on. Abolish exploits will not be learned from class trainers. It will instead be learned for a level 26 class quest, possibly quest chain, that requires having completed the quest. Power over poison, which is a cure poison quest chain. Because I don't want druids skipping that quest chain. Especially when abolish poison is superior to cure poison, basically. Innervate will be... It's basically better anyway. Anyways, Innervate will be learned at level 30, down from level 40. Causing it to be more reasonable for an improved Innervate talent to exist as obtainable at level 30, see below. Now, why would it make it be more reasonable? Because, why would you get a talent for something that you don't even... Because if you could get an improved Innervate talent at level 30, why would you get the talent before the level where you could get the spell that the talent improves? The only spell that the talent improves. The only thing that the talent improves. Anyway, moving on. Hibernate will additionally work on critters because why the fuck not? It makes sense. Tarregor's Fury will be given a 6-second cooldown to make it easier for casuals to effectively use the talent. Spell. Move. Tarregor's Fury will increase your attack power by 14 times as much as it increases your damage by, instead of increasing your damage directly, causing it to be a bit more attractive to players, especially for finishing moves. Design note, I have not yet looked into whether or not this ability will actually be useful in the endgame outside of niche situations. I will buff it if it wouldn't be. Design note, this will basically give you a 6 combo point for Rip and Ferocious Bite, due to their attack power scaling. Rip's attack power coefficient will be 4.8% per combo point, which is the same as 5 points as before, but less combo points. In order to go along better with the basic intuition that saving combo points for a 5-point finishing move, it's generally more effective than using a finishing move with less combo points. Ferocious Spite's attack power coefficient will be 80% as much at 4 points as at 5 points, 60% as much at 3 points, and yada, etc. If it wasn't already the case before, to go along better with the basic intuition, that's saving combo points, yada, etc. I already said that for Rip. Same explanation as for Rip. The Rip change. Rake will be given a 3% attack power coefficient for its initial damage and a 5% attack power coefficient for its dot over its duration, making it not suck outside of preventing rogues and druids from selfing, and because new players are put into it, they should use it in raids. Pounce will be given an 18% attack power coefficient over its duration, not per tick, but over its duration, to make it not suck compared to Ravage in both PvE and PvP when you are in Feral or Hybrid gear. Free Fire and its Feral variant will not override Curse of Recklessness. What? Okay, that's better. Free Fire and its Feral variant will not overwrite Curse of Recklessness, though it will still generate threat if the curse is active. So you can still use Free Fire. So you can still use Feral Free Fire for threat generation if a Warlock is using Curse of Recklessness. New spell, Restorative Trance. 1 rank, learned at level 16 from trainers. Restoration School. Cost 5% of base mana. Tentatively. 1.5 second cast. Causes you to enter a Restorative Trance for 1 minute, preventing you from attacking, casting non-restoration spells, or shapeshifting, but decreasing the cast time of Healing Touch and Regrowth by half a second. Notes. This spell serves to make it be easier for Restoration Druids to heal in raids, specifically as a non-tank healer, that is a raid healer, by letting them actually have a 1.5 second cast time heal without buffing them in PvP. The trance is a red debuff. This has a very, very small amount of useless in PvP in specific niche situations and should only be casted in PvP with extreme caution. New spell, Revive. The one for after the Lich King, except it's only up to the level 60 rank. Whichever the fuck rank is below level 60. Anyway. This will be given to... This is basically a baseline resurrection, not the combat-only resurrection. They'll also have the combat-only Excuse me. No. Combat. Yeah, this is basically a baseline resurrection in case you didn't play Wrath. So, they'll still have Rebirth, the combat allowed res, but they also have this. So, they'll be more desirable as healers in dungeons. Now that balanced talent changes, Moonkins needed a lot of buffs. Natural weapons will no longer be a prerequisite for Omen of Clarity, giving Moonkins a much needed buff since they'll be able to proc off of spell casts. Omen of Clarity will have its talent tree location swapped with that of Insect Swarm, which will be removed from the Restoration School to the Balance School in the Druid Spellbook. Improved Thorns will be removed from the game and be replaced with Improved Hibernate. Requires 10 points in Balance Talents. 3-point talent. Passive. Reduce the cast time of Hibernate by half a second per rank. If I recall correctly, it's instant at rank 3 of the talent. Notes, this talent could be replaced with a completely different talent in the same position, with the same cost, so long as the device play followed rules. Hold on. Alright. I'm ready now. Number 1. It must not be a talent that you would not want to have while somebody else in your group has it, as opposed to when you're, like, solo or some shit. Number 2. If it is essential for PvP, it must also be useful for raiding, or optionally essential for raiding. Number 3. Vice versa. That is number 2, but vice versa. Number 4. The talent must not be basically useless in PvP. And number 5, if it is essential for raiding, it must not be useless for most solo play. Vengeance will grant you a... Vengeance, in addition to its vanilla function, will grant you a 4% chance per rank when taking direct damage in the first place, critical strike or not. To gain a buff for 6 seconds, it is dispellable, that makes you ignore spell pushback when casting Wrath, Moonblast, or Hurricane. This will cause to buff Moonkins in PvP, and to encourage people to level as balanced. Moonkins probably could have used a PvP buff anyway. Improved Starfire will be renamed to Improved Moonblast, and its description will be changed accordingly. Moon Fury will be squished into a 3-point talent, and its function in total shall be as follows. First, this vanilla function will be removed. Then, it'll increase the damage dealt by Wrath, Moonblast, Moonfire, and Insect Swarm by 1% per rank. And it'll cause your Wrath critical strikes performed while Insect Swarm is active to have a 50% chance, a 17% chance in rank 1, 33% chance in rank 2, and 50% chance in rank 3 to deal additional damage equal to 1 tick of Insect Swarm, but reduce Insect Swarm's remaining duration by 3 seconds. And furthermore, the talent will also cause your Moonblast critical strikes performed while Moonfire is active to have a 1/3 chance per rank, talent rank, to deal additional damage equal to 1 tick of Moonfire, additional damage equal to 1 tick's worth of Moonfire's dot, but reduce Moonfire's remaining duration by 3 seconds. This will ultimately serve to make room for Lunar Blessing and to make the Moonkin damage rotation be less boring. New talent, Lunar Blessing, which Moon Fury would switch to make room for. Requires 25 points in balance. Passive, 2-point talent. Grants you a 50% chance per rank to grant you mana equal to the base mana cost of Wrath, Moonblast, or Moonfire whenever you perform a critical strike with any of those spells. This talent will be placed to the right of Moon Fury. This will serve to help Moonkins suffer mana problems in raids, and he probably could have used the PvP buff anyway. Being in Moonkin form will, in addition to its vanilla function, also cause your Moonfire spell to cause its target to take 10% more damage from all critical spells for the duration of Moonfire. As a separate undispellable debuff that ends early if the dot for Moonfire is dispelled. This vulnerability, if already applied, will not immediately go away if you cease to be in Moonkin form as a result of ceasing to be in Moonkin form, but casting it while not in Moonkin form will remove the vulnerability and overwrite your existing Moonfire debuff. And if he shifts into the Moonkin form while that Moonfire is up, then the aforementioned vulnerability will not be applied unless he casts Moonfire again while in Moonkin form, in which case the existing Moonfire debuff will be overwritten by the new one that has the added vulnerability. Furthermore, the vulnerability debuff will never stack with itself, but this will not affect the ability of Moonfire's dot to apply 1 debuff per druid. This will serve to get Moonkins actually fucking invited to raids. Yeah, so why these mechanics? It's so that you can't try to cheese it. It can't try to be a healer that just applies the Moonfire every 12 seconds in Moonkin form, then swaps back to your normal form to heal people. Basically the raid leader is not going to tell you to just put on fucking resto gear and then swap the Moonkin form every 12 seconds and heal people or some shit. It's not like he would, however, because it's going to cost a lot of fucking mana to do that. Anyway, but just in case, moving on. Moonkin form will, in addition to its auxiliary function, and what I just said, it'll also reduce the mana cost of all spells by 30% while active, that you're allowed to cast anyway, not including the form itself, serving to greatly help with their mana problems in raids, and they probably could have used a PvP buff anyway. So yeah, Moonkins are not going to have mana problems anymore. No longer will they be Oomkins. Now then, yeah, feral changes. Ferocity's icon will be changed from that of a hyena to the cat form's claw ability, seeing as how druids cannot shapeshift into hyenas. Feral aggression will increase your attack speed in bear form by 1% per talent rank instead of buffing Demoralizing Roar. And it'll properly denote and increase the damage dealt by Rip by 3% per rank, like it did in Vanilla according to Wowhead. And of course, it'll still do the other stuff that it used to do. Feral Instincts will no longer increase the strength generated in dire bear form by 3% per rank. It'll instead decrease the cooldown of Bash by 3 seconds per rank. The threat generation is moved elsewhere, and it serves to turn this talent into a PvP talent rather than being raid only for bears and a PvP talent for cats. Yeah, the bonus threat was moved to Primal Fury, which tank druids want anyway. By the way, Feral Instinct still makes you do stealth stuff better in cat form. I think it's what I did. Off the top of my head anyway. Let me go check. Yep. Stealth stuff better. Make sure. Thick Hide, the Druid talent. Oh, by the way, that is the vanilla talent tree I was looking at, not the Classic Plus talent tree. As I have not made talent trees for Classic Plus, I don't know enough about programming to do stuff like that. Anyways. Thick Hide, the Druid talent, will lower your chance to be critically stricken by melee range attacks by 1% at rank 1, 2% at rank 2, 3% at rank 3, 4% at rank 4, and 6% at rank 5, instead of increasing your armor contribution from items by 2% per rank, serving to make bear druids be uncrittable in raids without overbuffing them. Design note. I might want to swap this with something lower than talent trees so that Moon can still replace proper bear druids or the first few fights and raids that require a bear druid, just in case players figure out how to do that or some shit like that. This talent is crucial for bear tanking since it makes him immune to physical critical strikes and raids without needing plus defense gear, which will prevent him from getting one-shotted. Design note, if it was 2/3/4/5/6%, the players might skip on the 5th point to get plus 15 defense from gear. To get crit caps anyway. I mean, defense caps anyway. Uncritable, that is. Feline Swinton's icon will be changed from that of a wolf to that of a glowing cat figurine, seeing as how druids cannot shapeshift into a wolf. Improved Shred will be moved where Feline Swiftness was, and Improved Shred will be turned into a 1-point talent, reducing Shred's energy cost by 12 as its only function. Savage Fury will be moved where Improved Shred was. Feline Swiftness will be moved where Savage Fury was. These changes serve to discourage druids from leveling in cat form, as well as to make there be a level 21-point talent that benefits cat form. Feline Swiftness will be renamed to something else, I haven't decided what yet. And in addition to its vanilla function, it'll also grant rank a 50% chance per talent rank to cause the opponent to take an extra 10% damage from all physical critical strikes for the duration of the bleed effect, as a separate undispellable debuff that ends early as the odds removed. The vulnerability debuff will never stack of itself, but this will not affect the ability for each druid to apply. But this will not affect the capability for each druid. This will not affect the capability of each druid to apply one stack of the associated die, but there's only going to be one vulnerability debuff, no matter how many ranks are on the same target. Anyway, this will serve to get cat druids invited to raids, as well as to make all cat druid raiding specs have the essential PvP talent that is Feline Swiftness. Blood Frenzy will be turned into a 3-point talent, causing your critical strikes from cat form abilities to add combo points to have a 1/3 chance per talent rank to add an additional combo point, serving to make Improved Shreds being turned into a 1-point talent, not ultimately buff cat druids. Primal Fury will also Primal Fury, in addition to its vanilla effects, will also increase your threat generation. Will also increase the threat generation in bear form by 8% at rank 1 and 15% at rank 2. Now, restoration talent changes. First off, I'm not quite sure if I ought to get rid of power shifting or not. If I do decide to do it, then I'll nerf Furor turn to incur a 3-second cooldown on the rage generation from when he shifts out of bear form, and to incur a 3-second cooldown on the energy generation for when he shifts out of cat form, and I'll do similarly to Wolf's Head Helm, or even better, it's completely different. Okay, yeah, I didn't have to do that. Okay. I was thinking about it. Yeah, and I'll do something similar to Wolf's Head Helm, or make it do something completely different that is also unique and interesting. Anyways, improved Market of Wild will be removed from the game, and improved Healing Touch will be put in its place and no longer be a prerequisite for Nature Swiftness. Oh, by the way, let me know in the comments if you think that power shifting is bad for the game or not. Anyway, moving on. Oh, by the way, to Pharaoh Druids. Manual Crowd Pummeler will be renamed to Automatic Crowd Pummeler, and its strength, agility, and unused effects will be removed from the item. It'll be replaced with a 1% chance on hit to grant plus 17% attack speed for 13 seconds. This is because the item was extremely overpowered for generating burst threatening raids. Design note: 0.3238095238095238 itemization points over the itemization budget, which is exactly 2% of the budget. So yeah, this is exactly 2% more powerful than it has reason to be, but it's less than half a point over the itemization budget, so that's okay. Now then, back to Druid changes. Oh, I just thought of something. Fixing up the table of contents and outlines. There, now it's easier to navigate through the document. Anyways, new talent, Natural Cleansing, to replace improved Mark of the Wild. Requires 5 points in Restoration talents. 5-point talent. Passive. Reduces the mana cost of Cure Poison, Abolish Poison, and Decurse by 7% per talent rank. This talent is a prerequisite for Nature Swiftness and would be placed where improved Healing Touch had used to be. This talent could be replaced with a completely different talent in the same position with the same cost, so long as it abides by the following rules. The same rules as for improved Hibernate. As stated above, Omen Clarity will have its talent tree location swapped with that of Insect Swarm, which will be moved from the Restoration School to the Battle School of the Druid Spellbook if applicable. Omen of Clarity will, in addition to its vanilla function, grant you a chance on offensive spell cast, but not dealing damage, equal to 3 points of repeating times base spell cast duration as a percentage. I'm not looking at my keyboard. To make Omen of Clarity proc. Thorns in Nature's Grasp are not offensive spellcasts in this case. That is, concerning its spell. Binding Tangling Roots is. Instant spells get a 5% proc chance. Furthermore, Omen of Clarity will no longer have an internal cooldown because it does not need to have one. This will mostly serve to help with Moonkin mana issues, even more than it already had. By the way, Omen of Clarity is still a balance talent. Celsi will be renamed to Natural Healing, and it will, in addition to its vanilla function, grant Druid's critical heals, cause Druid's critical heals to additionally heal the target for an additional 7% per talent rank of the amount healed over 15 seconds, which will produce the new buff of every application without affecting the existing natural healing HOTS. This will give Rest of Druids a reason to pick this talent for PvP, as well as making Rest of Druids be more fun to play and making them scale of crit chance like other healers do. And if they end up needing a PvP because of this, there's a lot of other stuff that I can do to accomplish that without making it upgrading much. Improved Tranquility will be removed from the game. New talent to replace it. Improved Innervate. Requires 20 points of Restoration talents. 2-point talent, passive. Reduces the cooldown of Innervate by 45 seconds per rank. Note, this talent can be replaced with a completely different talent in the same position with the same cost, so long as it abides by the following rules. The same rules as for Improved Hibernate. Improved Regrowth will also... Improved Regrowth, in addition to its vanilla function, will cause Regrowth to refund 1% of its base mana cost per talent rank every time it overheals. So, for example, a Regrowth that costs 880 base mana would refund 352 mana over its duration if the initial heal and all ticks at a hot overheal. Swiftnet will benefit from improved rejuvenation because otherwise would not make sense. And that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Where's that spot? Here it is.